For topic two, we're going to look at something called simple interest. So in the previous video, we just kind of introduced ourselves to the idea of what is interest and what are the different important parts of an interest problem. So we understand that there's interest, there's principal, there's future value, there's an interest rate, and there is time. Okay, so we looked at labeling those parts. Here, we're going to look at actually calculating something called simple interest. Okay. So simple interest is a method for calculating interest where the interest is only calculated on the principal amount or the initial sum of money over a specified period of time. Okay. So if you go into, I mean, it kind of depends on what math class you go to from here, but you could potentially go into another math class where you talk about something called compound interest. Compound interest is a situation where interest is calculated on principal plus any interest that has been accrued up to that point. Here with simple interest, we can calculate the interest on day one. Okay. We're calculating interest only on the principal amount and for a very, very specific period of time. Okay. It is called simple interest for a reason. Okay. Now, the actual formula is I equals PRT. Okay. So I equals PRT. We know that I represents interest, P represents the principal. R is the interest rate, and one thing that's really important is we need to know that we have to put the interest rate into the formula as a decimal, okay? And then T is the time in years, and it is in years. We're going to be just generally dealing with annual interest rates, so time needs to be years. If you are given time in months or weeks, you would need to convert it to a year, okay? So not too big a deal there. The one thing that is missing is future value. So you could be asked about future value in these problems. So I could ask you something like how much is in the account in 5 years, or how much would the loan be worth in 10 years, something like that. That would be future value. Okay. Now let's look at example two. So example two says calculate the simple interest in each problem. So I was definitely watching Dexter when I made this worksheet because we had Dexter and Deb in the previous example. Now we've got Rita and on him, Angel, whatever you want to call him. Okay, so Rita borrowed 15,000 at 5.6% for 8 years to make repairs on her home. How much interest will Rita pay on this loan? So what you do need to remember is the interest formula is I equals PRT. So we're looking to calculate the interest. So we need to know the principal amount borrowed. So how much did Rita borrow? Well, she borrowed 15,000. We need to know her interest rate, but the interest rate must be input into this formula in decimal form. So if we have 5.6% interest, remember to write that as a decimal. We drop the percent symbol and then we move the decimal to the left twice. Okay, so that tells me that 5.6% interest is 0.056 as a decimal. Okay, so we're going to take the principal, 15,000 times 0.056, and then we need to multiply it by the number of years that this loan is going to be valid. So 8 years. And this would be something that as long as you show me this right here, you could certainly use the calculator to do the side work. So we're gonna, ooh, where is my calculator? Oh, there it is. So we're going to take the 15,000 that Rita borrowed. We're going to multiply it by the interest rate, which was 5.6. So for us, 0.056. And then she has this loan for 8 years. So over the course of 8 years, Rita will pay $6,720 in interest alone. So the interest is $6,720. Okay. Now, just for fun, how much will Rita pay back? Well, Rita is certainly going to have to pay back the $15,000 that she borrowed, but she's also going to have to pay that $6,720 in interest. So if we were to add these two values, we would get $21,720. So after 8 years, Rita will not only have paid back her 15,000, she will also have paid back interest. So the total amount that Rita would have paid back is $21,720. Okay. Now that was not asked here. We just did that for the sake of fun. Now, Angel, which again, if you've ever watched Dexter, these are four of the main characters, at least for the first, what, four seasons. So Angel received an inheritance of $50,000 that he chose to invest in an account that pays 2.75%. How much interest will Angel earn in 10 years? Okay. So we've got the principal amount, that's how much Angel initially invested. We know the interest rate and we know the time period. Okay, so we can calculate the interest based on those three values. So the interest is going to be the principal times the interest rate. So let's kind of talk here about the interest rate. If we have 2.75%, we write that as a decimal. We drop the percent symbol. We move the decimal to the left twice. So 2.75% is 0.0275. Okay? So 50,000 times 0.0275. And we're interested in how much Angel will have in his account in 10 years. So we're going to let T be 10. Okay. And we can just go to the calculator for this one. So we have 50,000 times 2.75%, which is 0.0275, times 10 years. So Angel will have earned $13,750 in 10 years. So 13,750. So the interest earned will be 13,750 earned in interest. So basically, if Angel can just sit his money in the bank, park it there, and forget about it, in 10 years, he'll have an additional $13,750. So for fun, how much will be in Angel's account in 10 years? Well, he'll have his 50,000 that he initially invested plus the interest that he earned. Actually, I wrote that backwards. That should be 750. So he would have $63,750 in his account in 10 years. Okay. So that is how you calculate just really basic, simple interest. Okay. Now, I think we've got one more example. Yeah. So we've got another example. And I imagine in these examples, we're going to do a little bit more. Okay. Yes, definitely Dexter, because we've got Joey and Maria now. Okay. So example 3 says solve each simple interest problem. So Joey borrowed 22,500 at 4% to pay tuition. How much will he have paid back after 5 years? Okay? So what we need to do is find basically the future value. So we know that we have the interest formula. So I equals PRT will calculate the interest. Okay? But we can take the interest and add it to the principal, and that tells us how much Joey's going to end up paying back at the end of however many years, 5 years in this case. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is just calculate the interest. Okay, so we know that Joey borrowed 22,500 at 4%, and he borrowed it for 5 years. So let's figure out just how much the interest is for now. So we would take 22,500 times the interest rate. Hopefully we're getting better at converting percents to decimals. So 4%, we drop the percent symbol and we move the decimal to the left twice. So 4% is 0.04. So 22,500 times 0.04. And then we need to multiply it by the number of years on this loan, which is 5. Okay, so we can go to the calculator here. And we have 22,500 times 4%, which is 0.04, times 5. And at the end of 5 years, Joey will owe an additional 4,500 in interest. So interest is $4,500, but that's not the question that was asked. Make sure you answer the question that is asked of you. The question is, how much will he have paid back after 5 years? So we really want to know the future value. You talk future value more so for an investment, but the same kind of idea applies here. We know that Joey initially borrowed 22,500. Over the course of 5 years, he's going to owe an additional 4,500 in interest. Okay, so if we were going to add these, you may want to do a little side work. You could certainly use your calculator to do the side work here. I'm just going to do it by hand because let's remind ourselves how to add numbers. So we have 0, 0, 0. 5 plus 5 is 10, so keep a 0, carry a 1. 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. Drop down your 2. So at the end of 5 years, Joey will have actually paid back $27,000. Okay, so that is the principal amount he borrowed for tuition plus the interest that he ended up having to owe at the end or over the course of 5 years. Okay. Part B, Maria invested $18,275 in an account that pays 3%. How much will be in the account after 12 years? So again, this is very similar to part A. We need to figure out the interest, but we're really being asked how much does Maria have 12 years from now? So she's going to have how much she invested plus any interest she earns. This is like a two-part problem. So we know that interest is PRT. P being the principal, so the amount Maria initially invested is $18,275. She is going to multiply that by the interest rate, which is 3%. So 3%, we drop the percent symbol, move the decimal to the left twice. So this would be 0.03. So 18,275 times 0.03 times however many years Maria is going to have this account. So 12 for us in this case. So let's calculate just the interest that Maria is going to earn over the course of 12 years. So $18,275 times 3% times 12. Let's go to the calculator. So $18,275 times 3%, which remember is 0.03 times 12, and we get $6,579. So Maria is going to earn an additional $6,579, but that is not the question that's asked. This is just the interest. We want to know how much is in her account at the end of 12 years. Well, the future value is how much Maria started with. So $18,275 plus any interest that she earns. So $6,579. Let's do a little side work. It never hurts to do stuff by hand from time to time. Keeps us honest, right? All right, so 9 plus 5 is 14. So I keep a 4, carry a 1. 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So keep a 5, carry a 1. 5 plus 2 plus 1 is 8. That's an 8. It looks kind of silly. There we go. 8 plus 6 is 14. So I keep a 4, I carry a 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So at the end of 12 years, Maria will have $24,854 in her account. Okay, so that is simple interest, how to just calculate interest all by itself, but then how to also take the idea of interest and then what is in that account or what is that loan worth at the end of a particular time period. So you find the interest and then you do just a little addition problem. Okay, I think in the next video, we're going to look at calculating a monthly payment using simple interest. Okay.